There are silences that express more than 1,000 phrases. There are glances that should not last too long, yet somehow they remain. And there are gestures that appear harmless but carry meanings rarely spoken aloud. What happens when a married man begins to see another woman through a different lens? If you are that woman, this video is not here to judge or shame. This is not about infidelity as scandal, but about emotional awareness. Desire often grows not from betrayal, but from inner emptiness, not from cruelty, but from solitude. Understanding this invites us to look deeper into the human subtleties hidden behind behavior. Routine erodes connection. What was once fire becomes habit, and habit without emotional renewal grows cold. Carl Jung wrote in Man and His Symbols, "What you resist persists, and what you accept transforms." Many couples resist admitting that their bond is weakening. In that void, without recognition, passion, or meaning, someone else may appear, not because they were searched for, but because they were silently needed. That man rarely leaves home intending to attach himself to another person. There is no plan. What unfolds is quieter and more human. A casual exchange with a coworker becomes the only moment in his day where he feels truly heard. A smile makes him feel visible. A sentence awakens something long absent at home, and that is where it begins. The signals arrive not like explosions, but like murmurs, a shift in tone, a new quality of attention, a message that seems innocent yet leaves an unfamiliar sensation. Most women who experience this do not understand it immediately, but they sense it. Something in their intuition whispers, "This is not normal. This is not random." Then comes the heavy question, what do I do with this? Am I imagining things? Or is there something more? Am I part of an emotional fantasy he cannot even name? As Jung noted in The Psychology of the Unconscious, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will guide your life and you will call it destiny. Noticing the signs is not about blaming anyone. It is about reclaiming your emotional authorship, because no one should become the emotional shelter of someone already committed elsewhere. In this video, we explore 5 emotionally significant signs that may suggest a married man desires you. We do so with care, without judgment, and with honesty about the complexity of human bonds. Understanding these signs is not only intuition, it is a way to protect your emotional integrity and choose from awareness. Prepare to perceive differently, not from fear, but from clarity, because some connections feel magical yet leave scars when misunderstood. Know this from the start. Just because a married man looks at you differently does not mean you must return the gaze. Not because you cannot feel, but because you can choose. Choose self-protection. Choose to understand the source of the attention. And above all, choose the role you want in your own story. Often, the most dangerous seduction is not spoken, but emerges from unmet needs disguised as connection. Something subtly changes when a married man begins to desire another woman. His communication does not shift abruptly. It slides into a different tone, more intimate, more charged with intention. It begins with small details, words that seem kind but sparkle differently when spoken by him. Where once there were polite greetings, now his voice softens. There is added warmth, a tenderness absent when he speaks to others. His tone slows, becomes attentive, sometimes playful. This change is not accidental. Psychology suggests men adjust language when attraction appears, not always consciously, but with emotional intent to create a private atmosphere, a bubble of exclusivity. Without declaring it, his words select you. He speaks differently because he perceives you differently. Jung wrote in Ego and the Unconscious that every bond carries projections of the unconscious onto another. When a married man speaks from an emotionally charged place, He may be projecting repressed parts of himself, the wish to be seen, valued, admired. Language becomes symbolic expression. Compliments play a role. They are not dramatic confessions, but consistent remarks. You look good today. That suits you. You always know what to say. On the surface, they appear innocent, but there is emotional frequency beneath. It is not only what he says, but how. The look in his eyes, the pause afterward, waiting for response or validation. These compliments differ from others because they are personal, selective, and symbolic. He highlights in you what he lacks daily. Perhaps he no longer hears those words in his marriage. Perhaps he has not felt admired or desired for a long time. Without intending to, you become his emotional mirror. Another shift is frequency of contact. He finds reasons to speak when unnecessary. He asks questions he could answer himself. He sends messages without urgency, shares a song, a meme, a quote, anything to keep the channel open. Over time, this becomes routine, an emotional habit. Often the content changes as well. Messages move beyond neutral topics. He shares his day, asks about your thoughts, feelings, preferences. This is where a delicate line appears, emotional intimacy. It does not form in one message, but accumulates slowly. Day by day, word by word, a bridge is built. He trusts you with emotions he may no longer share at home. He speaks of arguments, of feeling stuck. You listen because you care and because trust draws you closer. Even without physical contact, an emotional bond exists. Jung noted, there is no greater illusion than believing thought and emotion can be separated. When he thinks of you as he writes, chooses words carefully, reaches emotionally, you already occupy mental space, and that matters. Humor often shifts too. Jokes become different, with double meanings or affectionate nicknames. Language turns conspiratorial, as if you share a private code. That complicity is powerful and risky, creating the illusion of purity while crossing an invisible boundary that is hard to reverse. This is where pause is essential. Does he speak to you as he does to others, or with more gentleness and constancy? Does he reach out for simple reasons, or to build something? Do his words make you feel chosen? These questions are not accusations, but awareness. Desire does not always enter through touch. Often it enters through sound, through a carefully spoken phrase that lingers in the chest. One of the most revealing signs is response time. When a married man replies quickly at moments he never did before, it signals priority. It is more than courtesy. You have moved toward the center of his emotional attention. Awareness of this dynamic allows you to pause, reflect, and decide consciously, rather than being pulled by momentum into a story that was never truly yours to carry or resolve. That pause can change everything, always. Do not overlook the way a married man speaks to you when desire quietly begins to form. Not because it is your responsibility, but because you deserve honesty. You deserve to understand whether you are slowly becoming part of an emotional dynamic that could leave lasting marks. Above all, you deserve the freedom to decide whether you want to stand in that space or protect your inner calm before emotions become tangled. Communication here is never neutral. It is not merely a tool, it is a signal. It reflects a deep absence he is projecting onto you, and you have every right to notice it before it grows into something heavier. Desire does not always arrive through touch or sight. Sometimes it settles deeper in the soul. When a married man begins opening himself emotionally to a woman who is not his wife, this is no longer simple attraction. It is emotional displacement, and it always starts subtly. He mentions a difficult day, restless sleep, a vague worry he cannot shake. These are gentle admissions, almost hidden inside casual conversation. Yet beneath them lives a longing to be heard, because often he no longer feels truly listened to at home. He lacks a space where vulnerability feels safe instead of judged. Then you appear, the woman who listens carefully, who answers with warmth, who offers understanding when his home feels filled with routine, criticism, or distance. That is when the door opens, not to his body, but to his private world. Carl Jung wrote that loneliness is not caused by the absence of people, but by the inability to share what feels meaningful. When a man cannot speak freely to his partner about what matters, he searches for another outlet. Often that outlet becomes another woman, not always to betray, but to release what is trapped inside. With time, the sharing deepens. He no longer limits himself to daily events. He begins speaking of childhood memories, unspoken fears, quiet doubts. He admits feeling invisible, as if life is moving forward without him, questioning his choices, his marriage, whether it still holds purpose or merely continues from habit. You listen because something in his words touches your own experiences. Perhaps you know that loneliness too. In that shared understanding, a fragile intimacy forms. He starts seeing you as refuge, as a place where masks fall away. This vulnerability carries weight. It is not accidental. He chooses you. He gives you pieces of himself his wife no longer receives. He places you in a privileged role, the confidant, the emotional ally. He may say he has never shared this before, or that he feels different with you. These phrases, though flattering, reveal an emotional bond already drifting off course. You are no longer just someone he speaks with. You have become support and escape. This is the moment to pause and look honestly at the role you occupy. Are you truly just a friend, or are you filling gaps that are not yours to fill? Jung spoke of projection, explaining that many connections are born not from love, but from unmet needs reflected outward. He may not be seeing you clearly, but an image of what he lacks. Emotional openness can quietly become addictive. You wait for his messages, feel warmth when he shares, worry about his mood, and gradually open yourself as well. Without physical boundaries crossed, emotional lines already have been. This openness feels sincere, even pure, yet it can be deeply unfair to you. You are investing emotional energy in someone already committed, someone who may never leave but is willing to draw from you. Often, after deep sharing, he retreats, grows inconsistent or confused because guilt surfaces. He senses he crossed a boundary, even without touch. He formed a bond he cannot maintain without threatening his life as it is. Recognizing this is not about blame, it is about protection. You deserve relationships where you are not an escape. You deserve to be chosen openly, not secretly. You deserve integrity, not borrowed closeness. If a married man opens his inner world to you, ask yourself whether you are healing or holding him together, whether this connection is born from wholeness or shared emptiness. Emotional openness is sacred. It should be shared only where freedom exists. It is not just what he says, but why he says it to you. Time reveals this clearly. Time is precious. When a married man begins to invest it repeatedly in a woman who is not his wife, it speaks volumes. At first, it seems harmless. Longer conversations, small meetings, messages at odd hours. Soon, it becomes routine. He adjusts schedules, creates coincidences, extends moments. Consistency carries intention. Jung wrote that clarity comes from looking inward. When a man reshapes his days around another woman, his heart has already spoken. Alongside time comes validation. He wants to know you enjoy his presence. He seeks approval, comments on his appearance, adapts himself to your preferences. He is no longer simply himself. He is becoming himself for you. This creates emotional dependence. He needs your response to feel valuable. This burden does not belong to you. Conversations continue without purpose, simply to maintain connection. Humor, jokes, Small gestures keep him present in your thoughts. Jung said when two personalities meet, both are changed. This transformation is subtle but powerful. Helpfulness becomes a reason to stay close. Even jealousy appears quietly in questions and reactions. Your attention now regulates his emotions. This is not a game. It is a profound sign because it shows that you have become an emotional anchor for him, and that even without physical contact, it already suggests a strong and meaningful connection. You are occupying the space that once belonged to his partner, the space of everyday reassurance, emotional availability, and affectionate affirmation. That is why it is essential to pause and ask yourself, what kind of time is he truly offering me? Is it borrowed time? Is it divided time? Is it time wrapped in guilt? Because while it may feel flattering that someone reorganizes their life to include you, it can also reveal that they are quietly creating a parallel emotional story with you. And that almost never ends well. Because if a man does not first resolve what is fractured in his own life, whatever he attempts to build with you will be rooted in escape rather than intention. Time is love translated into behavior, and validation is desire transformed into dependency. If he gives you both but cannot give you honesty or freedom, then you are not being chosen. You are being emotionally used, even if he is unaware of it himself. And you deserve much more than that. You deserve a complete love that is open and available, not fragments of time taken from another narrative, not validation that fills the void left by someone else, but a connection where you are the priority, not the hiding place. After all the signs, after the tone, the time, the physical presence and the emotion, something unsettling appears. Ambiguity. That moment when he, after being so close, so attentive, almost devoted, suddenly withdraws, becomes distant, shifts, and you are left wondering what changed. This is not rare. In fact, it is one of the clearest indicators. Because when a married man begins to feel emotions he cannot control or explain without destroying his existing world, fear is activated. Guilt steps in. And where there was once connection, there is now contradiction. One day he speaks to you with warmth. The next day he behaves as if you barely exist. One day he looks for you. The next he avoids you. This emotional back and forth is not a straightforward rejection. It is the mirror of an inner conflict he does not know how to solve. He values the connection but fears the consequences, and that tension turns him into someone who no longer knows what to do with you or with himself. Carl Jung wrote in The Ego and the Unconscious that a fulfilled life is not achieved by removing conflict but by facing it directly. Yet many men never confront the emotional conflict they create. They simply evade it. They step back because moving closer would force them to face a truth they are not prepared to hold. That they are feeling something genuine outside the boundaries of where they believe they belong. And you remain trapped in that uncertainty. You do not know whether to stay or to leave, because even if there were no kisses, no touches, no promises, there was still something. Something was planted, something started to grow, and when it collapses, it hurts. That is why the most important part of this message is not the signs he gives you. It is what you decide to do with them. Noticing that someone wants you does not mean you must return it. Realizing there is a connection does not mean that connection is safe or healthy, and feeling something does not obligate you to act on it. This is where your real strength lives. Emotional awareness. The ability to choose from a place of maturity. To ask yourself not only what you feel, but what is actually happening. Is he choosing you, or is he using you emotionally as a form of escape? Is he willing to face his reality with you, or does he only need temporary comfort? Because desire is one thing, integrity is another. And you deserve to be part of a complete story, not a borrowed chapter from someone else's book. Jung wrote in The Psychology of the Transference that only what is brought into consciousness can be changed. And today you have the chance to see these signs differently, not through fear, not through judgment, but through clarity. You deserve relationships where you do not have to guess whether someone loves you, where you do not depend on mixed signals to feel important, where you are not someone's emotional shelter because they lack the courage to repair what is broken in their own life. You are worth more than occasional attention. You are worth more than desire wrapped in pretty words. You are worth a full, honest, mature, and free connection. Do not accept being someone's escape. Become the destination for someone who is truly ready to arrive. And understand this, walking away does not mean you lost something. Sometimes it means you protected something valuable inside you. Sometimes distance is not punishment, but self-respect taking form. Choosing yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. When you stop accepting half love, you make room for something whole to find you. And that moment will feel different. It will feel calm. It will feel clear. It will not require you to question your worth or decode someone else's silence. Love that is right does not confuse you. It steadies you. It does not shrink in the light. It stands openly and without fear. So trust what clarity is showing you now. Trust your intuition. Trust that you deserve consistency, presence, and truth. Because love that is real does not arrive in secrecy or hesitation. It arrives with courage. And when it does, you will not feel like an option. You will feel chosen. And when that moment comes, you will notice how different your body responds. There will be no tension in your chest, no anxious waiting, no wondering if today you will be acknowledged or ignored. Your nervous system will rest because consistency is calming. You will no longer feel the need to analyze every word, every pause, every shift in tone. Love that is aligned does not demand constant interpretation. It speaks clearly through actions that match words, through presence that does not disappear when things become real. You will feel safe to be yourself, not measured, not hidden, not reduced to fragments that fit into someone else's limited availability. You will feel expanded, seen, and respected. This is how you know you have chosen well. Not because the connection is intense, but because it is stable. Not because it feels dramatic, but because it feels honest. Intensity can be created by lack, by secrecy, by longing for what is unavailable. But stability is created by intention, by accountability, by emotional maturity. And stability is what allows love to grow instead of burn. When someone is truly free to choose you, they do not hesitate. They do not oscillate between closeness and distance. They do not make you feel like you exist only when it is convenient for them. They show up fully, even when it requires courage, even when it demands change. You are not here to be someone's hidden chapter, their silent comfort, or their emotional pause button. You are here to live a life where love meets you openly, without conditions that shrink you. And if choosing yourself means closing a door that felt meaningful, that does not make your experience invalid. It makes it complete, because every connection teaches you something. And this one teaches you the value of clarity, the importance of boundaries, and the power of self-respect. It teaches you that longing is not the same as love, and attention is not the same as commitment. So let go without resentment. Release without bitterness. Walk away with your dignity intact and your heart wiser than before. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to compete with someone else's past, someone else's promises, or someone else's fear. Trust that real love will meet you where you stand, not ask you to wait in the shadows. And when you look back on this moment, you will not remember the confusion. You will remember the strength it took to choose yourself. And that choice will become the foundation for something far greater. Because the right love does not make you question your value, it confirms it.